Did someone say something about shopping downtown at Christmas time? While shopping downtown was special, shopping downtown during the Christmas season was really special.
It just had this grand opulence to it that even as a kid you appreciate. At Christmas time, you come down and it's a whole wonderland.
When you're a kid, everything seems bigger than life. But even for adults, this next downtown memory was really big.
There was a store called Sterling Lindner Davis, which had and as a child it looked like it was 300 feet tall, the most unbelievable Christmas tree in the lobby.
As a child, you really were in awe because it was huge.
Oh gosh, it was so high. I don't know how to describe it. If you would ask me today, I would say it was probably 10 stories high.
Well, just unbelievable to see a tree that tall and that glittering and the size of those ornaments.
I always wondered how they got that darn thing in through those doors.
Yeah. How did they get that thing in there? In those days, stores would decorate for Christmas after Thanksgiving. Following their turkey dinner, the Sterling Lindner elves would unbolt the front doors of the store and wait for the green monster to arrive.
They usually brought the tree in on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, after the store closed, probably at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. They closed off Euclid Avenue, and a big truck came in with the tree on a flatbed, and they took the front doors off and brought the tree in and set it up overnight. And then on Sunday, which the department stores were not open on Sunday, the crew came in and decorated it.
As far as I know, most of the men that pulled it in, and some of their sons like me, were just volunteers. It seemed like it took forever, but it was probably only 15 minutes. But it had to be pulled in by hand. It was on a dolly, and they pulled it in. And in the middle of the store, there was a staircase that went down to the basement, so they had to kind of go along the side of that and bring it around. And we only stayed basically until the tree was set and they started to pull it up.
Putting the tree up was a real job. We had in the Sterling Court, I don't know how many stories high it was, 5 or 6 stories anyhow. They had a grid up above where you could drop lines down. Then they had window washers buckets that people sat in, and they could control the ascent, and they were handed ornaments by somebody who was behind them, and they would put them on the tree slowly, decorating the thing from top to bottom. It was a tremendous job. And the tree, of course, was alive, and it grew several measurable inches while it was in the place.
Around the base of the tree, they had a picket fence, a white fence, and then a plaque that usually said where it came from and how high it was.
I went in and I couldn't believe it. Of course, the ornaments were to scale. I mean, they had ornaments the size of 3 bowling balls. You know, it was unbelievable.
That's no lie. Pat Boris and her husband worked at Sterling Lindner and were given boxes of the ornaments when the store closed.
This is one of the many ornaments that hung on the tree, and they're very heavy. They're blown glass. This one is made in Austria, and the little tag is still on it. 2,500 ornaments on the tree, and tinsel and icicles, and then the metal bells. If I say that I used to work at Sterling Lindner, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I remember the Christmas tree." And that was really what they were known for, was the beautiful Christmas tree, sort of like the Rockefeller tree in Rockefeller Plaza.
But there was another thing about Sterling's at Christmas that totally intrigued me, and that was that they too had a special room for children at Christmas. The thing that totally enthralled me there was this winter wonderland that you walk through. And when you arrived at the end, there was Francis the Talking Mule waiting for you. He would talk to you, and then he would send you this wrap package down a chute. And that memory just like totally fascinated me. Back then, I mean, he was the big rage. He was it.
I was at Santa Claus at Sterling Lindner, and I did know enough that my grandpa used to bring me down there when I was a little 5, 6-year-old kid, and they had the biggest tree in the country, and as far as I knew, and Santa Claus was under that tree. So when I applied for the job, I thought, hey, this is not only Santa Claus, but this is the Santa Claus.
Cleveland's downtown had the look and feel. It was so right that when it came time for Hollywood to make a Christmas classic, they came to Cleveland. Turning back the clock to a simpler time was A Christmas Story, set in the 1940s and shot in Cleveland because of the historic look of its neighborhoods, stores, and downtown.
That movie really reflected, I think, when you look at that, what downtown was all about. It had this sense of you had to be there to understand it. You had to hear the bells, you had to see the lights, you had to see the mechanical windows, you had to see the hustle and bustle and the people loaded with packages. It's an environment that you absolutely cannot capture in a mall.
When I watch Christmas Story, you have fond memories of what downtown used to be like, and the memories.
The store's display windows created a lot of those memories.
All the stores had animated windows, wonderful windows that were fabulous not only for children, I say they were for children of every age, but you wanted to be part of that and you felt like you were missing something if you didn't go downtown.
No matter how cold it was was never too cold to just stand there and put the nose on the window. And it was truly a fairyland.
Every single window had something in it that was animated. It would be little figurines singing, they might be elves in a workshop. I can't remember exactly what each one was, but for a child it was Alice in Wonderland.
Famous life photographer Margaret Burke White took these Depression-era pictures of Halley's Christmas windows in 1934. The reality of the bad times was softened by the fantasy world of these displays.
When I looked at those windows, I knew that I was not about to get these beautiful dolls or things like that, but it still was a thrill to just see the scenery and the action and the Santa Claus and the elves. You know, it was fantasy, but it was beautifully done.
Their Christmas windows were on par almost between Polsky's and O'Neill's, but O'Neill's had the edge.
Well, the Christmas displays were the greatest of all, but the display artists were marvelous, and they had beautiful figurines.
On the bus, if you heard people saying, oh, you've got to go to Mays, you've got to see the, whatever it is, shop, you've got to see the ice skating window this year, and you had helped install them, of course, it gave you a glow of pride, and, oh yes, vast amounts of customers in traffic would be attracted by a specific display, and they would come downtown just to see that.
Kids coming downtown also got to play Santa at a special shop where they bought little gifts for Mom and Dad.
Probably the best shopping experience I had was when I was really little. I went to the Twigby shop. And that was a place in Higbee's where adults were not allowed. It was too much fun. I think about all of the different things that were on the little tables that you could buy. And I just think about, you know, the parents who, when they got those gifts, made them seem like they were the most wonderful thing, but they probably was like, you know, the 13th pen that you'd given your mother.
If you were a kid or even a parent, things like the Twigby shop, Sterling Lindner tree, and window displays were just to whet your appetite before you had an audience with the jolly elf in the red suit. And for many people, even Santa had to take a back seat to a Cleveland original, the Keeper of the Keys.
It was the only place you could go to see two things. One, the real Santa Claus, because only the real Santa Claus would be downtown, and see Mr. Jingling, because there was only one Mr. Jingling anywhere, period.
Hi, boys and girls. I'm Mr. Jingling, and I'm so glad to be back here with you on television. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving Day yesterday and had some turkey or something just as good? Doesn't matter, though, as long as you got together with people you loved and celebrated.
Mr. Jingling really was more popular, I think, at Halley's than Santa Claus was, really. And I think part of that had to do with the promotion that was done with the show.
You know, it certainly is going to be a puzzle figuring out who dropped this down my chimney and what's inside. Well, I'll see you Monday, boys and girls, and I'll kind of wait for you to open it up, and then we can open it up together and see what's inside, and I'll try to find out who sent it. I can hardly wait. See you then.
I remember seeing his show during the Christmas season, and it was something that we would make sure we were there watching, so we would catch Mr. Jingling. In fact, he was a character that had almost the stature of Santa Claus.
So what was the story on Mr. Jingling, and how did he get this job as Santa's keeper of the keys?
I work for Santa Claus, and I'm a locksmith, and I make keys and wind up things for the toys. And it's a job I've enjoyed very, very much ever since the time, well, long time ago, when Santa Claus lost his key to the toy warehouse where we keep all the toys just before we put them on the sleigh for Christmas. Well, I made him the key, fit that door. We got in there, got those toys, and got them delivered. And Santa was so happy and so nice about it. He made me his keeper of the keys.
Mr. Jingling, are you tingling?
Keeper of the keys.
On Hallie's 7th floor, we'll be looking for you to turn the key.
For we have a date underneath your Christmas tree.
I designed the graphics on the key, and they were die cut and printed off in the thousands. And those keys were used, I think, up until the time Hallie's closed. And so I guess I can lay claim to not being Mr. Jingling, certainly, but designing his good luck key that was put around the neck of thousands and thousands and thousands of kids in northeastern Ohio.
They all tell Mr. Jingling about, oh, we got your keys, and they have little like sayings about them and reminding, and they say, well, what they open. And I said, well, what else? They're the keys to your heart. I think they're a symbol of Christmas. The favorite part, it's the smiles and the eyes for boys and girls. And that's a pretty good two-way street. I get it. I get the love from them, or did then, and I can see it in their eyes. And that's about as good a deal as you get at Christmas. Better than the presents and the gifts, I think. I'm Mr. Jingling, how I tingling, keeper of the keys. On Hallie's 7th floor, we'll be looking for you to turn the keys.
The question remains, what was so special about shopping downtown? The Frosty Bar, the Silver Grill, Mr. Jingling, May's, O'Neill's, Polsky's, Hallie's, Higbee's, the Sterling Lindner tree. By themselves, they don't mean that much. They're made of bricks and mortar. The merchandise is made of cloth, leather, paper, or plastic. The food is quickly eaten and you're hungry a few hours later. But all those things were a way to bring people together, to enjoy the warmth of each other's company, to connect as one big community and celebrate the human spirit. It all happened downtown, and it was the way we shopped.